Gymnasium at Kansas State University, a new home was being planned for Wildcat basketball. That new home was destined to be named after Mike Ahearn, who preached the need for the new field house to Kansas State faithful. When finished in 1950, Ahearn Field House was a gem of a gem with a brilliant luster. Today, the luster has not faded. The gem remains of the highest quality. But a new home for Kansas State basketball is rising from the rolling hills of eastern Kansas. Bramlage Coliseum is the new home of Wildcat basketball, but not until after today. Today, a rival of 76 years has come to do battle for one last time before the last sellout crowd in Ahearn Field House. Today, the Missouri Tigers meet the Kansas State Wildcats. Phillips 66 proudly presents Big 8 Conference Basketball, live on the Raycom Sports Network. Today, from Ahearn Field House on the campus of Kansas State University in Manhattan, the Missouri Tigers meet the Kansas State Wildcats. Big 8 basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66. Good things for cars and the people who drive them. And by Budweiser. By Counter. By True Value Hardware. By AT&T. And by Ford and your Ford dealers. We will return to Manhattan, Kansas after these messages from your friends at Phillips 66. And now you're looking live at a sold-out Ahearn Field House in Manhattan, Kansas, where for the final time in her 38-year history, this Dowager Queen tries to weave her magic over Kansas State's basketball players and her fans on the final day of the Big 8 regular season. Kansas State and Missouri fighting for a spot in the NCAA tournament hookup today. Hello, everybody. I'm Fred White. Our analyst, Gary Thompson. Good to see you again.
Good to be back with you. Seems like old times, Fred.
Should be. Both teams playing well. Missouri got a big win at home against Oklahoma their last time out.
Well, that was a tremendous win for them over at Columbia. They've been a solid ball club all year. They're deep in talent. They've had some injuries, but they're putting it all together now.
What we're going to see here today, two good teams, two great players. Let's talk about Derek Chivas, the fantastic Missouri senior.
Well, we're looking at two All-American candidates. Derek Chivas had 35 points and 18 rebounds in that Oklahoma ball game. He's had 6 double-doubles in his last 12 games. Just a tremendous talent.
He's been a great player in big games, and so is his counterpart from Kansas State, Mitch Richmond.
Well, Mitch is a tremendous player, too. He's going to be an all-Big 8 player, probably an All-American. He averages about 28 points a game on Saturdays, so look for a big output from him. He's Kansas State's all-time scorer for 2-year players.
They are two players who play great in big ball games. They are two. There are 10, of course, who will start the basketball game, and here they are. For Kansas State, Richmond, Bledsoe, Meyer, Henson, and Scott will be out there at the open. And for Missouri, Chivas, Church, Smith, Coward, and Sambodi. Remember this, Missouri has been playing very well against Kansas State. There are other important participants in today's game. Here are the officials. They are Ron Spittler, Rich Highcourse, and Ed Schumer. We're getting set. The game is just moments away. And we'll be back with the tip-off of today's game after this from your friends at Phillips 66. This telecast is a copyrighted presentation of Raycom Sports, and any reuse of this telecast without the express consent of Raycom Sports is prohibited. Well, it is a magic day in Ahearn Field House. Gary, the task both teams have here today now is going to be to keep their mind on business. Norm Stewart has done a wonderful thing. He, of course, the dean of coaches in the Big 8. As you look at the fans here, so excited in Ahearn, he brought his players out in T-shirts that say Ahearn Field House, welcome back, Coaches Hartman, Coaches Fitz, there they are. See, Coaches Gardner, Winter, Fitzsimmons, and Hartman. Norm Stewart really opened the spirit of the thing today.
Well, I think so. Norm has done a lot of great things like that. And one of the lines about that when he talked with Cotton Fitzsimmons, he said Cotton was jostling and he was in his purple, and he said, if you coaches are all back, that means we got a chance to win if you guys are coaching.
Should be some decision on the bench. An ode to Ahearn Field House. This building has meant so much to Kansas Staters. It's been the focal point of Kansas State pride down through the years. And not to overdo it, it's a magic day for this building, but we know the task at hand will assure you that we'll have a ball game here this afternoon. Overall, Kansas State leading this series 97-87. Earlier this year, down at Columbia, it was a wild ball game. The Tigers won at 79-75, very hard-fought ball game, and Missouri now has won 7 straight from Kansas State. And really, Gary, down through the years, I know you'll recall that Norm Stewart has played this team so very well here. Norm at the moment shaking hands with Jack Gardner, giving him one of those t-shirts they had made up special for the occasion today. He has coached longer at a Big 8 school than anybody except Hank Iba and Paul Gallen. Look at the attendance here in Ahearn through the 38 years. 4,839,796 have paid their way into this building. There have been 6 undefeated seasons. There you see their all-time winning percentage. And Gary, they have played to 93% capacity in this building since the day it opened.
Well, the fan support has just been tremendous. You see them here. One of the things I'm going to miss about doing a game next year is we're not going to be sitting right in amongst the students, I'll tell you, because that has some atmosphere to it when you're right in with these kids.
One thing you're going to enjoy is hearing yourself think, though. It's a little tough to do in here.
You used to go out of this place, you couldn't hear yourself think for a couple of days.
Interesting statistical matchup. There's not really a lot to choose. Rebounding average, Missouri doing better than Kansas State, but Kansas State holds their own on the boards for being such a small ball club. Missouri scoring more per ball game.
Kansas State out-rebounded Missouri in the first ball game by 5, which is one of Missouri's strengths. Free throw shooting probably the edge to Kansas State, and in the 3-point goal shooting will be an edge to Kansas State.
The atmosphere in Ahearn right now, as you can see, is electric. It is magic. We are somewhere between hyperspace and bonkers right now. The game hasn't started. Believe it or not, Willie got a dunk down in that costume a while ago. He's got on the tux in that head, and he got a dunk.
Kruger saw that. He probably invited him as a walk-on.
I'll tell you one thing. All of the pregame hoopla here has delayed tip-off just a couple of minutes. I'm going to tell you something. Norm has been caught up in the spirit. He's been really nice. But in a minute, the ball is going to go in the air, and he's going to settle into a ball game. And he is one of the most ferocious competitors, and his ball clubs play like he always played. And we're likely to be in for one heck of an afternoon of basketball here.
Well, that's the way it always should be. Once you step on that court, you ought to be getting ready to go to war and battle. And here's another guy that will battle him just as hard as anybody, Lon Kruger. Look at the record in here. He's shooting for his second 20-game season here, and nothing he'd like better than to get 20 today in this game.
What a guy to be on the other bench. Grew up about 40 miles from here over in Silver Lake, Kansas. Of course, played here. 2-time All-Big 8 Player of the Year. Played on Big 8 champions, and now back at his alma mater, 40 miles from his birthplace, coaching a team that he has always loved. And we are set to play basketball. Ron Spittler is going to put it in the air, and the deal is on in Manhattan, and Missouri comes up with a tip. Mike Sambodi with the basketball. Very quickly kicks it to Coward. Chivas on the wing. A lob inside, and up with it to score goes Greg Church. And the first 2 points of the ball game belong to Mizzou.
Church has had 9 starts for Missouri. Had a big game against Oklahoma the other night. 39 minutes. He had 10 points with 8 rebounds.
Kansas State with the basketball. Mitch Richmond. Henson. Richmond at the top of the circle. Chivas out covering Richmond man-to-man. What a matchup.
Interesting matchup. Both of them good defensive players.
Henson's 3 wouldn't go, and Church takes the rebound away from Mizzou, and up come the Tigers on the move. Lee Coward with the basketball. Kansas State in the zone. Sambodi to Chivas for 3. It's good, and the Tigers are off to a quick start in Ahearn today. Chivas, nothing Mizzou.
Chivas 13 out of 25 for 3-point range. These 2 kids that we featured, Chivas and Richmond, can show you they can do it all. They can rebound, they can shoot, play defense, 3-point range.
Henson, Bledsoe, Henson for 3.
Well, that's the strength of Kansas State, outside shooting. Missouri normally plays soft in their defense. They don't pressure as much tough man for man. So shots for Henson and Scott may be there.
For those of you who may not know it, Steve Henson is a 54% shooter from 3-point range. Kansas State has the 3 top 3-point shooters in the Big 8 in this ball game. Big Glover, Henson, and Richmond. They can really do it from that range.
Well, and the other great 3-point shooter in the Big 8, this percentage-wise, is Coward, who's on this Missouri
on the other
ball.
side. There are the three-pointers. Kansas State is a team shooting 49% from three-point range. That is phenomenal. Richmond against Chivas. Takes him to the lane, puts up the off-balance jumper, is partially blocked. He got help that time from Doug Smith.